Tucker Carlson convinced millions of people that Donald Trump is the anti-war candidate. And he now believes that Donald Trump's Iran war is heading to nuclear weapons usage. Tucker says this has been obvious to him since day one. Let's listen to what he had to say.
It has been obvious to me since day one that this was moving toward a nuclear exchange. I just thought that from the very beginning.
The really dark part about that, though, is it's not an exchange.
Well, exactly. Sorry, that's just a phrase.
Yeah, but how dark is that to even
Well, I don't know. We're assuming that there would be no response. I mean, there are a lot of other players in this beyond just Iran. And there are a lot of countries with nuclear weapons, including Pakistan. And, there's a lot could happen. But the use of nuclear weapons for the first time in 80 years, I thought that immediately.
Now, let's stick to the facts first, and then we'll do the analysis. Right now, there is no public evidence that Trump has tried to order a nuclear strike on Iran or is preparing. He has talked about obliterating a country and killing all the people, which we are sort of interpreting to be alluding to nuclear weapons. However, is Tucker's broader warning crazy? I don't think that it is, and I'll explain why. This is a war that has already involved the United States, Iran, Israel, American military bases, Iranian missiles, regional allies, attacks on shipping, a bunch of failed ceasefires, and a whole bunch of threats of greater escalation. That slowly starts to make the unthinkable thinkable. One side attacks, the other side retaliates, the first side responds with something bigger. Everyone insists the next attack is going to end the war, and the war keeps growing. And the sort of linchpin in all of this is that the person managing all of it, Donald Trump, not a calm, restrained, emotionally stable individual, makes major decisions based on ego and flattery and what he sees on TV. So I think, this, I don't know if this is one of those, the worst person in the world is right about one thing kind of thing with Tucker, but I think it's right to be nervous about this going nuclear. And Tucker's criticism kind of gets even more extraordinary. Listen to what he says about the girls' school that was hit during the U.S. bombing campaign in Iran. Here's what he had to say about that.
I feel so personally affronted by it. You bomb a girls' school and then you don't apologize? I feel like smacking him in the face. Who do you think you are?
Yeah, I'm a history nerd. So
this is your country? I don't think it is. You just rolled in here and took control, and then you get to do stuff in my country my ancestors built? No.
Yeah, and
don't you feel that?
Of course.
The pathetic thing about all of this is that all of a sudden now, as Tucker is increasingly connected to people like Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene, people who are on Trump's bad list, right? You've been naughty. Tucker spent most of the global war on terror dating back to 9/11, titillated and aroused by all of the very sorts of behavior that he now claims to be against. And Tucker hates Trump based on the text messages that have leaked. And now he sees a strategic opportunity to position himself as a Trump critic and an alternative for the right. But for the most part, outside of the confines of Trump, Tucker has been a supporter of most of this sort of global war on terror status quo. Now, is it understandable to be angry about, the striking of the girls' school and Trump's role in it? Of course. And Trump's response was to deny it and suggest, Iran might have done it, or maybe it was somebody else. Trump can't just admit something went horribly wrong. We made a mistake. Even if kids are dead, the most important thing to Trump is we got to protect Trump. Tucker is, what we have to see Tucker as doing is confronting what he helped to create. He sold Trump as the guy who would stop the wars. And now he says Trump is leading us towards nuclear war. But you promoted Trump as the guy who would put America first. And now he wants to smack Trump, he says, over the deaths of Iranian school children and the fact that he thinks Trump might consider introducing nuclear weapons into this entire thing. It's quite a reversal. Tucker deserves no medal for discovering years too late that Trump is reckless, dishonest, and incapable of accepting responsibility. But we knew this for a decade. And so I think that Tucker's warning matters, one, because it reveals how badly Trump has fractured his own movement. Two, because in making these criticisms, Tucker, like all of these other right-wingers, ignores his own role in supporting Trump and fomenting Trump and putting Trump in power. They wanted America first. They, at some point, believed that Donald Trump was going to be America first. They definitely didn't want more expanding Middle Eastern wars with no end in sight. And Tucker now is in the position of going, I don't know, this is really concerning. I think Trump's doing this wrong. This might go nuclear. Nice work, everybody. You were part of getting us into this situation to begin with. So we've talked about this. You've lost control of the monster you built in other contexts as well. We've talked about how the conspiracy theorizing of the right has now made them look at the Epstein files and go, Trump's part of the conspiracy. That's part of the monster they helped build. We see how now anti-vax sentiment is causing measles outbreaks. And this is part of their accepting and fomenting all sorts of other medical conspiracies about COVID vaccines and microchips and all of this stuff. So when they end up sometimes making, listen, am I worried Trump might go nuclear in this war? Yes, I'm worried. Oh, I agree with Tucker. The difference is I tried to prevent Trump from ever becoming president, whereas for a long time, Tucker and the movement he at least used to be part of were responsible for getting Trump in the Oval Office. We can't forgive him for that. We can acknowledge, hey, terrible person made a good point. Broken clock is right every once in a while. Fine. But it applies to Tucker. It applies to Rogan. It applies to the manosphere. You all played a role in getting us to where we are. And while we can say it's great that you're acknowledging your mistake, if that's what you're doing, I don't even know that Tucker is really doing that. He's kind of pretending he had no role to play in it. Let's not forget the role that they did play. Thanks for watching. Check out another one of our videos and make sure to subscribe so YouTube keeps our content in your feed. And if you prefer audio, subscribe to the podcast on Spotify or Apple.